Guys, I just can't thank the folks standing beside me enough for this historic session. This year's budget truly is historic. The 2020 budget received overwhelming support in both the House and the Senate. We broke several records when it comes to funding core services. We put Oklahoma on a fantastic platform to have $1 billion in savings at the end of next year, which would be a historical high number with our $200 million in savings that we got this year. It's fantastic. And for the first time in state history, Oklahoma teachers will receive a pay raise for the second year in a row. This is going to go a long ways to letting teachers know how valued they are, how the folks up here, the House, the Senate, the governor's office, we value education in Oklahoma. We're going to continue to push the needle. We're going to continue to encourage the best teachers teaching our young people in the classroom. We also put $74 million into the funding formula, which would allow our superintendents, our local school districts to also invest where they see necessary. And 2009 was our historic high water mark in education funding. So to let everybody know, that was $2.5 billion that we funded public education in 2009. That was before the downturn. And I'm excited to say that we are at the highest levels we've ever been. We're now $538 million above the 2009 level. So we're going to fund over $3 billion to public education. So it's a fantastic start. Also, another first time in state history, the Department of Transportation will have a fully funded road and bridge fund for their 8-year plan, and that's peaked out at $575 million. As well as we returned $30 million to our local counties to give back to make sure that they fully funded their 5-year plan. For the first time in state history, for the second year in a row, our state employees are receiving another pay raise. It's also important to note that we have funded a digital modernization to actually bring Oklahoma State government into the 21st century. When you think about technology, this, in our opinion up here, is going to make government more transparent, more cost efficient, and more customer focused. The criminal justice area, we have funded $10 million in Smart on Crime initiatives. We have provided $20 million to the district attorneys that makes historic changes, and we took the 991 fees and the supervision fees and we actually redirected those to the legislature to make sure there's no conflicts of interest on fines, fees to folks that are working their way back into society. For the first time in state history, Oklahoma will make the largest deposit into the Quick Action Closing Fund. This is so important for state leaders to have the opportunity to compete and win as we grow our economy and we compete against other states and we win fantastic new companies moving into our state.
It's an A+ session. I think our budget is an A+ budget. This session has been by far the most productive session I've been involved in, and I've been here since 2011. Appreciate the governor's leadership. I really appreciate your vision to save $200 million, and we were able to achieve that to be able to be in a much better position. I appreciate the speaker's leadership, your partnership. It's been an extremely productive session working with these two gentlemen on each side of me. It's also been a session that we tried to devolve power in the Senate to subcommittee chairs in a much greater way than we have in the past. And Senator Roger Thompson has done a tremendous job leading that effort in the Senate, getting the entire Senate involved through subcommittees, both Republicans and Democrats. And they have had more input in this budget than any budget I've ever seen with subcommittee chairs, working with their counterparts in the House and actually having substantive input into the budget. This session started off with a bang. It started off with government accountability being signed into law very early on, being in this blue room with both the Speaker and the Governor signing the landmark reform that will change the way we govern in Oklahoma for the next century. I was extremely excited to be a part of that. We've got constitutional carry to the governor's desk very early on. We have historic investments in mental health. We have historic investments, continued investments in education. I am so excited to be a part of this team. I obviously represent the Senate, and I will boldly and unapologetically fight for the prerogatives of the Senate, but when we work together, we can move this state forward. And I think that the gentlemen to my left and right, I am so honored to be up here with them today, honored to be up here with Senator Thompson. Next session, I think, will be even better because we put ourselves on a trajectory to be fiscally responsible, to continue to move the needle on criminal justice reform, and we will continue to work. Our work does not stop on signing day. It will continue. We will be setting our agenda for next year, and we will continue to have bold ideas that we advance. I just honored to be here today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I echo the previous words. It has been a very successful first half of the 57th legislature. You know, a lot of people don't understand, don't know, don't see the mechanics of what takes place during a legislative year to come to an agreed upon budget. And a budget that is as robust as this budget is for the state of Oklahoma, but that is forward thinking and forward looking. You know, we have put aside $200 million in savings this year. And just think where we've been in the last 2 years. We spent down our rainy day fund well below $100 million in the last contraction. When the deposits made at the end of June and with the $200 million set aside, we're going to be above $1.1 billion in savings for the state of Oklahoma for future events. And nobody can foresee the future. Take, for instance, what's going on in the state of Oklahoma right now, just with weather patterns in the state. The damage that is being inflicted upon our state right now. We will have to answer that soon. Nobody predicted that. And so, just as that is an immediate event that we're having to deal with in the state, in the future, there will be other unforeseen things. This budget, the governor and the Senate Pro Tem have already spoken about many of the positive things about this budget. Being a leader from the rural parts of the state, I can tell you the investment into health care through the nursing homes is tremendous in this budget. The money set aside for the DDSD wait list is very important. The provider rate increases. The money for county road and bridges over and above the $120 million it receives every year. Education funding for schools. The concurrent enrollment funding through higher ed, so our students now in seniors in the state of Oklahoma, that program is fully funded. State employee pay raises, building off of what was accomplished last year. Pay raises in higher ed, which closes the gap in between the pay raises that we've done for common ed teachers, which built a bigger gap in disparity between pay and higher ed. All of these are just additional positive issues and that were accomplished this session. I'm very proud of the House of Representatives, not only the work that our members put into it, but their cooperation with the Senate and with the governor's office. I want to commend both my chairs in the House of Representatives, Appropriations Chair Kevin Wallace, Vice Chairman Kyle Hilbert, who are here with me today. And ironically, they probably start on next year's budget in about 4 weeks. So, Mr. Chairmans, enjoy a few weeks and we'll see you back to start on next year's very soon. But the work that goes into this, never in my career, and I cannot find anybody that have served in the House of Representatives previously that have seen 100% of Republicans voting for a budget on the floor of the House. 100% of all Republicans voting on the GA bill in the House of Representatives supported this budget. And that says a lot about the cooperation, the collaboration, and the work that went into it. I think this year has been a tremendous year for the state of Oklahoma, for the House of Representatives, for the Senate, and for the governor. And we will build off that. I think we can make it better, and I'm excited that I think the trajectory of our state is improving, and that our state's never been more sound, more solid, and more attentive to the people of the state of Oklahoma and what they are indicating they want to see from their elected officials. Once again, Governor, an honor to work with you this session. Look forward to working with you in the interim. Mr. Pro Tem, thank you as well.